Listen to me carefully. Your life is shaped not by your circumstances, but by the conversation happening in your mind. Most people think success starts with action. No, it starts with language. Because before you take action, you must believe you can. And before you believe, you have to say it. Your words are the blueprint of your destiny, part 1. The voice inside you is either your prison or your freedom. Every single day, you're talking to yourself in the quiet moments, in the mirror, in the car, when nobody's watching. And the real question is, what are you saying? Are you saying, I'm not ready, I'm not good enough, my past defines me? Or are you declaring, I am capable, I am built for this, I become better every day? Because the voice you feed will shape your reality. You cannot speak defeat and expect victory. Part 2, your mind believes what you tell it. Even if it's not true, yet your brain doesn't know the difference between imagination and reality. When you say, I am confident, it begins searching for proof. When you say, I am disciplined, you start behaving like someone who is. Listen, the words you repeat become beliefs. The beliefs become actions. The actions create habits. The habits build your identity. You're not lying to yourself. You're training yourself. You talk to a plant and it grows. You talk to yourself and you transform. Part 3, you must speak your future louder than your fears. Your fears are loud, your doubts scream, your excuses whisper, maybe tomorrow, but your destiny is waiting for you to speak. Say it even when your voice cracks. Say it even when nobody believes in you. Say it even when your circumstances don't match what you're declaring. Because the power is not in seeing it. The power is in speaking it until you become it. Champions don't talk about their reality. They talk about their possibility. They talk to themselves like this. I will overcome. I will rise. I will become the person I decide to be. Not someday, not when conditions are perfect. Now, part 4, change your vocabulary, change your identity. Stop saying, I can't. This is hard. I don't know what to do. Start saying, I am learning. I am growing. I always find a way. The most powerful words you will ever speak are, I am, because whatever follows those 2 words becomes your reality. Say it daily. Say it relentlessly. Say it until your actions align with your words. Challenge for you for the next 30 days. Every morning, say who you are becoming. Every night, speak gratitude for progress. Throughout the day, correct any negative self-talk instantly. When a doubtful thought shows up, decision, replace it. Not with wishful thinking. End or worse, with a decision. I talk to myself until I become what I say. Final thought, you don't become great and then speak like a champion. You speak like a champion until you become great. Your words are creating your future. So talk to yourself with power, talk to yourself with purpose, talk to yourself until the world sees what you've been speaking into existence. You are not waiting for permission. You are building yourself with every word. Your self-talk shapes your identity long before your actions do. And the challenge most people face is they try to rearrange their actions while completely ignoring the source that controls everything. If your internal voice is programmed to doubt, hesitate, or fear, then no matter how much you push yourself to act, you will always sabotage your progress. Everything you do on the outside is simply a reflection of who you believe you are on the inside. Your identity drives your behavior, not the other way around. When someone says, I want to be more confident, what they usually mean is, I want to act confident. But action is always secondary. Before you can act confidently, you must first believe that confidence is available to you before the world sees a change in your behavior. Your inner world must shift its language. The secret most people never understand is this. Self-talk isn't just motivation. It's rewiring. Every time you speak to yourself, you are either reinforcing the person you were or giving instructions to the person you are becoming. Think about that. Every sentence you speak inside your mind becomes a command. Your subconscious listens and takes it literally. If you say, I'm not good with people, your subconscious begins finding evidence to prove that statement correct. If you say, I always struggle with discipline, your brain behaves in a way that aligns with that identity. The human mind hates being wrong, so it will sabotage anything that contradicts the beliefs you feed it. This is why someone can have big dreams and never take meaningful action. Their imagination says, I want a better life. But their internal identity whispers, you don't deserve it. And identity always wins. Everyone tries to change their life by changing surface-level behavior. Real change begins when you shift the words you attach to yourself. The minute you declare something as part of your identity, good or bad, your brain starts defending it. If you tell yourself, I'm lazy, you will behave lazy because you've made it part of who you are. But if you tell yourself, I am someone who follows through, you start looking for ways to match that identity. Humans are wired to stay consistent with who they believe they are when you speak to yourself. With power, something extraordinary happens. You start taking actions that match that power. It's not magic, it's alignment. You are aligning your self-image with your behavior. Most people wait for their results to change so that they can believe in themselves. But belief doesn't come after the result. Belief is what produces the result. You don't wait to become confident to speak confidently. You speak confidently until confidence becomes real. You don't wait until you're successful to talk like a winner. You talk like a winner until your thoughts, actions, habits, and results catch up. People say fake it till you make it, but that phrase is misunderstood. You're not faking anything. You're rehearsing who you're becoming. A singer practices before the world hears them. A self-made person practices greatness in private self-talk long before the world witnesses their transformation. You are not pretending. You are training. Every time you say, I am capable, your brain believes you a little more. Every time you say, I am disciplined, you start to act like someone who is disciplined. Identity grows through repetition. Your words are the reps. Self-talk becomes identity through emotion. When you speak with emotion, your brain locks it in as truth. You've probably had moments in your life where you repeated something negative with emotion. I can't do this, I always mess up, nothing works for me. You believed those statements not because they were true, but because you repeated them with conviction. To transform yourself, you must use that same emotional power, but speak life, not limitation. Passion is fuel. Intensity is fuel. Repetition with emotion plants new beliefs. Your mind is like a garden. Words are seeds. Whatever you plant consistently will grow. If you plant doubt, you grow hesitation. If you plant excuses, you grow procrastination. If you plant powerful self-talk, you grow identity. When your internal voice becomes unstoppable, your actions follow with certainty. People ask, how do I stay disciplined? The answer is simple. Speak like someone who is disciplined. If you tell yourself discipline is part of who you are, the actions follow automatically. Identity removes negotiation. When something is part of your identity, you don't debate it anymore. You just execute. Consider the difference between I'm trying to quit smoking and I'm not a smoker. The first statement reinforces identity as a smoker who is struggling. The second statement leaves no room for negotiation. Identity dictates behavior. The moment you verbally detach from the old identity, the old actions lose power. Your nervous system responds to identity. When you declare who you are programming your nervous system to operate at that standard. Your words shape your perception, and your perception shapes your actions. When you say, I am confident, your body language changes. Your tone strengthens. Your decisions shift. Yes, your circumstances may not yet reflect confidence, but your mind begins creating a path toward it. Before success shows up in your life, it must show up in your language. Your self-talk is training your mind to recognize opportunity. When you speak with certainty, you start noticing possibilities that were invisible to the old version of you. You make choices that align with your new identity. You begin moving differently. You walk into rooms with more presence. You take action without hesitation. You pursue goals that used to intimidate you. Why? Because the internal conversation changed. People don't fail from lack of ability. They fail from lack of identity. They fail because their self-talk keeps them trapped in who they used to be instead of empowering who they are becoming. Your future is not waiting for a new version of your actions. It's waiting for a new version of your internal dialogue. Speak to yourself with power. Speak to yourself with belief. You are shaping your identity with every word you say to yourself. You become what you repeatedly tell yourself. Your voice is creating the blueprint. Your life will follow the words you repeat become beliefs, and your beliefs drive your habits. Everything in your life is a direct reflection of the language you practice internally. The most powerful force in human psychology is the need to remain consistent with how we define ourselves. If your words reinforce limitation, your identity forms around limitation. If your words reinforce power, your identity forms around power. Your habits are not random. They are the natural expression of who you believe you are. When someone says, I can't stick to routines, that belief becomes the excuse for every miscommitment. When someone says, I'm not disciplined, that statement becomes a permission slip to procrastinate. Words are not harmless. Words are instructions to your mind. Most people don't realize that the voice in their head is not just narrating their life, it's constructing it. Every time you repeat something to yourself, whether silently or aloud, you are reinforcing a belief. Beliefs are simply thoughts you've practiced over and over until your mind accepts them as truth. Once a belief takes hold, your brain looks for proof to support it. Tell yourself you're unlucky, and suddenly every inconvenience becomes proof. Tell yourself you're capable, and suddenly every challenge becomes an opportunity. The mind filters the world through the lens of your beliefs. Your repeated words create that lens. People wonder why they keep repeating the same patterns year after year. They think they have a discipline problem, a motivation problem, or a personality problem. The truth is much simpler. They have a language problem. You don't rise to your goals. You fall to your identity, and identity is built from what you repeat to yourself. If you consistently say, I'm overwhelmed, your brain will look for ways to validate overwhelm. If you consistently say, I always find a way, your brain starts scanning for solutions without hesitation. Your habits are not the cause of your identity, they are the effect. Someone who says, I'm the kind of person who follows through will behave differently than someone who says, I'm trying to be better. The first statement is identity-based, the second is uncertainty. Identity produces certainty. Certainty produces action. Action produces habit. It's a chain reaction that begins with language. Think about how children learn who they are. They're told things repeatedly. You're smart, you're shy, you're difficult, you're strong. Over time, those words become beliefs, and those beliefs turn into behaviors. That child grows into an adult still living under the influence of words spoken decades ago. But just as negative beliefs can be planted through repetition, powerful beliefs can be planted the same way. You are not stuck with the internal vocabulary you inherited. You can rewrite it. Every time you repeat empowering language, you are directing your brain to behave in alignment with that identity. If someone says, I am disciplined, they start making decisions like someone who is disciplined. They don't negotiate with themselves. They don't debate whether they should show up. They act because they believe that action is what someone like them does. Belief creates autopilot behavior. When you truly believe something, you stop having to force it. It becomes natural. Think about it in terms of the gym. If you believe I'm not a gym person, even if you go a few times, you will eventually stop because your identity will pull you back to what feels familiar. But if you tell yourself, I take care of my body, your behavior will align. You don't need discipline. When something feels like part of who you are, you simply do it. Identity eliminates resistance. You are always becoming the words you repeat. Every statement is a script. Your subconscious tries to fulfill. If you say, I just can't focus, your mind checks out. If you say, I focus easily, your mind tunes in. Your brain is like a highly obedient soldier. Whatever language you give it, it executes. So when you repeat words filled with doubt, hesitation, or fear, you are programming your brain to behave that way. But when you speak clarity, confidence, and certainty, your brain begins creating that reality. This is why affirmations matter. Not because they are positive, but because repetition shapes belief. Say something once, it's a statement. Say it repeatedly. It becomes a belief. Act from that belief, and it becomes your identity. Identity produces habit. Habit produces results. The real work is not forcing new habits. It's speaking new beliefs until you naturally act on them. You don't need more motivation. You need different language. Most people think change starts with action, but action is the last step in the chain. Change starts with repetition. Repetition forms belief. Belief forms identity. Identity produces action. Action becomes habit. Habit becomes your life. Everything starts with what you repeat. You can talk yourself into courage or you can talk yourself into fear. The choice is yours. But either way, your words will create something. You are either building your future or reinforcing your limitations. When you catch yourself repeating something negative, I'm bad at relationships. I always procrastinate. I never finish what I start. Stop. Interrupt the pattern. Replace it immediately with the language of who you are becoming. I communicate clearly. I handle things early. I finish what I start. You may not believe the new words at first, and that's fine. Belief isn't required at the beginning. Repetition creates belief. You speak it until your mind accepts it as reality. Every quantum leap in life begins with a shift in vocabulary. Champions talk differently. Leaders talk differently. People who transform their lives talk differently. They don't describe themselves based on their past. They declare who they choose to be. They don't repeat what they see. They speak what they are creating. Your words are steering your future. Speak consciously. Speak intentionally. You are programming your beliefs with every word you repeat. Speak possibility louder than your fears, even when your current reality doesn't match. Fear has a voice. Doubt has a voice. Insecurity has a voice. They are loud, aggressive, persistent, and convincing. When you dream of something bigger, fear is the first thing that shows up, not because the dream is impossible, but because your mind's job is to protect you from the unknown. The unknown triggers survival mode. Your mind tells you to stay safe, stay small, stay predictable. That voice tries to convince you that discomfort equals danger, when in reality discomfort equals growth. You don't conquer that voice by arguing with it. You conquer it by overpowering it. Your possibility must speak louder. You don't need fear to disappear to start talking differently. You need to talk differently. So fear begins losing power. Fear doesn't vanish before action. Action weakens fear. Your voice becomes your weapon. Your words become your armor. When fear whispers, what if you fail? You must speak possibility. What if this works better than I ever imagined? One thought keeps you stuck. The other sets you free. Most people don't lack potential. They lack the courage to talk about what they want with conviction. They're afraid to speak possibility because possibility makes them responsible for pursuing it. Once you say, I know I can do this, you can't keep hiding. You can't keep waiting. You can't keep making excuses. Your reality doesn't have to match your declarations. You are not speaking about where you are. You are speaking about where you're going. When you say, I am becoming disciplined, you are not lying to yourself. You are leading yourself. There is a difference. Leaders speak vision before evidence. Champions speak results before results exist. The greatest power you will ever have is the ability to speak possibility in the face of contradiction. Your circumstances may not reflect your potential yet, but your voice can lead you to the version of yourself that can change everything. Possibility has a frequency. When you speak possibility, you activate new pathways in your brain. You shift from survival to creation. You stop looking at obstacles and start searching for opportunities. The moment you say, I will make this happen, your mind begins looking for ways to support that direction. When you say, I don't know how yet, but I will figure it out, your mind shifts into problem-solving mode. Your words unlock resourcefulness. Your words awaken creativity. Your words guide your attention. And where attention goes, energy flows. You always move in the direction of the language you repeat. You cannot allow fear to dominate the microphone inside your head. Fear tells you to shrink. Possibility tells you to expand. Fear tries to convince you that your past is your prison. Possibility reminds you that your past is only data, not definition. Fear limits your actions. Possibility activates them. The louder your fear becomes, the louder you must speak possibility. Fear says you're not ready. Possibility says start now and grow into the person who is. Fear says, what if you're judged? Possibility says, what if you inspire someone? Fear says, this is risky. Possibility says, staying the same is the real risk. Most people never step into who they are capable of becoming because they keep giving fear the final word. But fear only becomes truth when you speak it into existence. If you speak fear, you manifest hesitation. If you speak doubt, you manifest paralysis. If you speak possibility, you manifest progress. Talking possibility doesn't mean ignoring obstacles. It means refusing to let obstacles dictate your future. Your reality right now might look chaotic, limited, or messy. Speak possibility anyway, because what you speak determines which part of your brain activates. Words shape focus. Focus shapes action. Action shapes reality. You are always one decision away from a completely different future, and that decision begins with language. Say to yourself, I will find a way. Say, I am capable, even if I haven't shown it yet. Say, I am becoming the kind of person who follows through. Speak that even when your life doesn't yet reflect discipline. Speak that even when you feel insecure. Speak that even when you don't believe it fully. You don't need belief to start, you need volume. Speak possibility louder than the fear shouting in your head, because repetition rewires belief. Your brain records intensity. If you speak with emotion, your mind accepts possibility faster. Don't just repeat words, declare them. Speak them with energy. Say it like you mean it. Say it like your future depends on it, because it does. If you speak with hesitation, your brain questions you. If you speak with certainty, your brain follows you. Certainty isn't what you feel before you speak. Certainty is what develops because you speak. You can't whisper possibility and expect it to overpower a screaming fear. Your self-talk must become bold, loud, and unapologetic. People may think you sound unrealistic. Let them, you are not speaking to them. You are speaking to your future. Your future requires language with conviction. The world won't believe in you until you believe in yourself. Belief begins in your voice, not your results. You don't need external validation. You need internal confirmation every time you speak possibility and uncertainty. You train your nervous system to remain stable in discomfort. You teach yourself that fear does not get to control your decisions. Your voice becomes the internal leadership you've been waiting for. You are not waiting for confidence. You are creating confidence through repetition. Speak possibility until possibility starts feeling normal. Speak possibility until fear becomes background noise. Speak possibility until action becomes automatic. You are shaping your reality with your words. You don't have to see the entire path. You don't have to know how everything will work. You just need to speak possibility louder than your fear, louder than your doubt, louder than your history. Reality will catch up later. Replace limiting language with empowering commands that direct your mind. The words you use are not just descriptions of your reality. They are instructions to your nervous system. Every time you speak, your brain listens. If you repeatedly say, I don't know what to do, your brain shuts down. It stops searching for answers because you told it there are none. But if you say, I will figure this out, suddenly your brain starts looking for solutions. Language is not passive, it is directional. It tells your mind where to go and what to focus on. The human brain follows the path of your dominant vocabulary. The problem is most people are speaking defeat without realizing it. You've heard yourself say things like, I can't, I'm not good at that, this always happens to me, I just don't have the discipline, I'm stuck. And you think they're harmless expressions. They aren't, they are commands. They're programming. They are reinforcing an identity without your permission. Every time you repeat limiting language, you deepen the neural pattern that says you are incapable, and eventually those statements become so habitual that you start believing them without questioning their validity. You create a mental cage and then behave as if the cage is real. Most people never stop to ask themselves if what they are saying to themselves is actually true. They don't question whether their language is based on fact or fear. They don't realize that they are speaking from their past instead of speaking from their potential. You were not born with limiting language. You learned it. You absorbed it from environments, from parents, from teachers, from society, from failure, from disappointment. But the same way you learn to speak limitation, you can learn to speak empowerment. It starts with awareness, it continues with discipline, and it becomes transformation through repetition. When you replace I can't with I can learn, everything changes. When you replace this is too hard with I can handle this challenge, your energy shifts. When you replace I always mess things up with I am improving every day, your identity shifts. You don't need the perfect words. You need new words. Words that empower instead of restrict. Words that push your mind to expand instead of shrink. Your language must evolve to match the person you are becoming, not the person you used to be. Your brain does not argue with your self-talk. It obeys it. If you say, I'm overwhelmed, you will physically feel overwhelmed. But if you say, I am in control, your nervous system calms down. You could breathe differently. Your shoulders relax. Your mind becomes clearer. The shift isn't external. It's internal. The quality of your life follows the quality of your language. When your language evolves, your emotional state evolves. When your emotional state evolves, your actions follow, and those actions begin shaping a new reality. Empowering commands are short, direct, and identity-based. Instead of describing your limitation, they declare your capability. Someone who wakes up and says, I hope I'm productive today is relying on chance. Someone who wakes up and says, I create productive days is taking ownership. Someone who says, I should work out is thinking in obligation. Someone who says, I train my body because that's who I am is thinking in identity. Language reveals whether you are leading your mind or following your emotions. Every time you catch yourself using limiting language, stop it immediately. Interrupting the pattern is the first step to breaking it. The moment you hear yourself say phrases like, I don't know, I can't, I'm not ready, challenge it, you are not here to be passive with your words. You are here to lead yourself with them. Replace those statements instantly, even if the new words feel uncomfortable. Growth always feels uncomfortable. You are not lying to yourself. You are redirecting yourself. You are choosing the vocabulary that expands your identity rather than shrinking it. Think about someone who says, I'm trying. Trying leaves room for failure. Trying implies that success is optional. Replace it with, I am doing this. Think about someone who says, I'll see what happens. That language gives away power. Replace it with, I make things happen. When you speak like someone who is in control of their life, your brain begins operating from that level of control. Your words are a declaration of authority. Language influences emotions. Emotions influence decisions. Decisions influence results. Your vocabulary either creates a spiral upward or a spiral downward. If you speak limitation, you attract limitation. If you speak empowerment, you activate empowerment. When your language changes, your energy changes. When your energy changes, your life changes. Empowering language doesn't mean sugarcoating reality. It means refusing to bow to it. You can acknowledge challenges without surrendering to them. Saying this is hard, but I can handle it is truth with power. Saying I always mess things up is just resignation. One language keeps you moving, the other keeps you stuck. The difference between people who break through and people who break down is not ability, it's language. Most people wait for confidence to speak powerfully. They want certainty before they change their language, but language creates certainty. You speak yourself into power. You speak yourself into courage. You speak yourself into identity. Confidence is not a prerequisite. Confidence is a byproduct of consistent, empowering self-talk. You don't wait to feel powerful before you speak with power. You speak power until you feel powerful. Do you know why so many people never reach their next level? Because they talk themselves out of it before they even begin. They never even give their future a chance. They are fluent in excuses and silent in possibility. They have mastered the language of limitation. When discomfort shows up, their words immediately create an escape hatch. I can't. It's too much. I'm not ready. Empowering commands remove the escape hatch. I will figure this out. I'm built for challenges. I follow through. The moment you adopt empowering language, you eliminate the option of quitting. You can take control of your life by taking control of your vocabulary. Your mind obeys your voice. If you speak possibility, your brain searches for actions. If you speak defeat, your brain searches for escape. You direct the entire system with language. Replace limiting phrases with empowering commands and watch everything shift. You are always one sentence away from activating the strongest version of yourself. Consistency in self-talk creates transformation. Speak it until you become it. People underestimate how much repetition shapes identity. They think one moment of motivation, one burst of energy, or one powerful affirmation should change everything. But identity is not built by intensity. Identity is built by consistency. The person you become is shaped by what you tell yourself every day, not what you tell yourself once. Your self-talk is like drops of water carving into stone. One drop does nothing. Repeated drops carve out a new shape. That is how transformation happens. Not suddenly, but through constant reinforcement. Every day, whether you are aware of it or not, you are programming your mind with language. Your thoughts rehearse who you believe you are. If you consistently speak weakness, identity forms around weakness. If you consistently speak strength, identity forms around strength. Repetition wires your beliefs into your nervous system. You don't wake up confident. You build confidence through thousands of repeated messages to yourself that say, I can handle this. You don't wake up disciplined. You build discipline through repeatedly telling yourself, I follow through with what I start. Everything is repetition. Everything is training. Transformation doesn't happen at the level of desire. It happens at the level of language. You can want a better life and still speak like someone trapped in your old one. Your life will never rise higher than your habitual conversation with yourself. If your self-talk is inconsistent, your growth will be inconsistent. If your self-talk is powerful, consistent, and relentless, your growth becomes inevitable. Consistency is what turns possibility into identity. Identity is formed through repetitive signals. Your brain learns through neuroplasticity. It rewires itself based on the thoughts you repeat. When you say something once, the brain hears it. When you say something daily, the brain believes it. That belief shifts your behavior. That behavior creates new habits. Those habits shape your future. There is a chain reaction in your life, and it always begins with repetition. The challenge most people face is that they speak empowering language only when they feel good. They speak strong only when their circumstances look promising. But the real transformation happens when you speak strength on the days you feel weak, when you speak power on the days you feel insecure, when you speak discipline on the days laziness feels heavier. Consistency is built in the moments when the old identity fights back. It's easy to talk like a champion when you feel like one. The transformation happens when you talk like a champion before you've become one. Your brain does not change because of what you occasionally say. It changes because of what you repeatedly say, whether it's negative or positive. Repetition is always creating something. You can repeat self-talk that destroys your confidence, or you can repeat self-talk that builds it. You can repeat the words that reinforce your fears, or you can repeat the language that reinforces your future. Consistency determines which identity grows stronger. You become whatever identity is repeated the most. This is why some people succeed and others don't. It's not luck, it's not talent, it's not background, it's repetition. Successful people speak the language of success daily. They don't take days off from believing in themselves. They don't wait for the environment to motivate them. They motivate themselves through internal dialogue. They use language like a tool. They use it deliberately, intentionally, repeatedly. Every time you speak, you are practicing who you are. You're either practicing confidence or practicing doubt, practicing courage or practicing fear, practicing discipline or practicing excuses. There is no neutral. Every thought reinforces a direction. Each word is a vote for who you are becoming. Consistency is not a suggestion. It is the requirement for identity to change. Think about learning a new language. You wouldn't expect fluency in a day. You learn a word, then another, then another. Eventually, repetition makes the language natural. That is exactly how self-talk works. When you repeatedly speak possibility, possibility becomes fluent. When you repeatedly speak power, power becomes natural. When you repeatedly speak belief, belief becomes your default. You are literally teaching your mind a new language, the language of your future. Most people try affirmations for a few days and say it's not working. Of course it's not working. You can't undo years of negative programming with 3 days of positive talk. You've repeated fear thousands of times. You've repeated doubt thousands of times. You've repeated limiting identity statements thousands of times. You're not just replacing words. You're replacing patterns. The transformation process requires persistence. You don't speak until you feel better. You speak until you become better. Consistency is what turns temporary effort into permanent identity. You don't just say, I am disciplined when you wake up motivated. You say, I am disciplined when your body wants to stay in bed. You don't just say, I am confident when life is going smoothly. You say, I am confident when everything feels uncertain. The repetition in those moments is where identity shifts, because repetition under pressure becomes evolution. You talk yourself into the strongest version of yourself. You talk until your actions match your words. You talk until the behavior becomes automatic. Over time, self-talk becomes a subconscious program. You don't need to force it anymore. It becomes who you are without effort. That's the transformation, not changing your life for a moment, changing who you are permanently. When you speak to yourself consistently, you are not motivating yourself. You are becoming yourself, the version of you who is confident, disciplined, bold, focused. That person already exists. They're just buried under years of doubt and negative self-talk. Every repetition removes a layer. Every empowering statement frees the real you. Your life doesn't change when you say something once. Your life changes when your internal vocabulary shifts from occasional to automatic. Identity shifts when self-talk becomes a lifestyle, not a moment. You speak possibility daily. You speak progress daily. You speak confidence daily. You speak discipline daily. You speak until your voice becomes who you are. Transformation is not a single moment. Transformation is repetition. Transformation is consistency. Speak it until you become it.